All right, so following day, back out here after the day job, and so instead of continuing on adding more transmission fluid to it, I think we've got it about where we need it to. So, but she still doesn't want to move a whole lot. What I do want to make sure is just that we have no sort of hang up or anything like that. We've pushed on the brake pedal a couple times. Want to make sure that, you know, these old brakes didn't lock up on a particular caliper or something like that. So what we're going to do now, go ahead and lift the old girl up completely in the rear end. We'll take both tires off, get into these brakes. Like I said, we got new pads and stuff anyways, and go from there. That'll give us a chance to make sure there's no sort of hang ups or anything, and we're not going to be, you know, breaking anything if we keep on trying to get the old girl moving. So let's get this thing jacked up, see what we're dealing with on these old school brakes here. Well, I think we found the culprit as to why she won't move anymore. Should have known better than to touch the brake pedal before we examined anything. This rear is about locked up. Yeah. I think it's safe to say that's why she won't hardly move at all right now. Well, it's good to know that it's not the transmission issue, but let's break into these brakes, I guess. Ha, no pun intended. Alright. So it looks like the other bolts that hold it on there are going to be a 16mm. See if we can get the ratchet in there. Yep. Alright, so we've got our two bolts out from the back side. That is indeed how it works. That's a hard line mounted to it, so you want to be careful there. Okay, so after looking at the manual, figuring out how these things work here, you actually just pull these two slide pins out from over here. They pull out the back side here, and then your brake pads can come right out. Just like that. But what I want to do right now is put a caliper compressor on it and see if these pistons are going to move at all. Okay, so took the bleeder screw out, tried to shoot some air through that, tried to shoot some air through here. These are pretty much locked up solid. So I reckon we're gonna go inside for the night, try to order up a repair kit, possibly new calipers if we can find them for a good price. But yeah, so at a little bit of a standstill for a couple days, it looks like. So we'll be right back with some new brake parts. All right, so it's the next day. Went inside last night, tried to order up a bunch of calipers and stuff like that for the old girl, or rebuild kits or something. And goodness, let me tell you, it's about pert near impossible to find parts for these things sometimes. Who would have figured 50-year-old Swedish car would have been so difficult to find parts for? But anyways, so we're out here today. It's Thanksgiving. Happy Turkey Day, everybody. And so what we got to do, we figured out these are ATE calipers on the back. As you can see, where's it at? Right here. This little mark there says ATE. All right. So we have ATE calipers on the back. But what we got to figure out is what calipers and rotors we have on the front, because there are Girling calipers and ATE calipers for the front also, and then there's solid brake rotors and vented rotors. So we got to take one of the front tires off, see what we're dealing with here. So we're over here on the left hand side again. We're just going to pop the driver's side front tire off and see what sort of calipers we have on the front side here, so we can get some ordered up before too long. So what we're going to be doing is ordering. There's almost no calipers available for 164s unless you want to spend about $200 a piece on them, and I'm just not doing that. If I'm going to spend $200 a piece on some, it's going to be some performance deals that, you know, get us some kind of upgrade, which is the plan for in the future eventually. But for right now, we're just looking for some OEM replacement just to get the old girl up and running again, right? So what we're going to do instead is we have sourced some 240 calipers from a 75 244, I believe it was. They have them on Rock Auto, good prices, availability. We just need to figure out which ones it is we need to order, and I guess the big difference between them is they'll mount up with a little bit of work. So they're almost the exact same caliper, but on the 164 they had imperial size bolts, and on the 240s they used metric size bolts. So basically when we get them in, we just ream out the holes just ever so slightly bigger to fit the imperial size bolts that we use on the 164, and then you can bolt them on with no problem. So that's going to be the plan, as there's more available and definitely cheaper available. So let's go ahead and pop this front tire off and see what we're dealing with up there, so we can get the right ones ordered up. Yeah, as y'all can see there, these things are just, that's chunks of the rubber there peeling up. Let me get out of the light a little bit. See if y'all can see it there. That's like chunks of the rubber. Yeah, those are shot. But what we need to do right now is identify them. And I do believe these are indeed the ATE calipers, because I want to say the Girlings have a bump on the outside here or something like that. Alright, and indeed, as y'all can see, that's our ATE symbol right there. These are a little worn down, but you can recognize it there. That's our ATE symbol. So these are indeed ATE calipers. So we need ATE calipers with the vented discs up front. Yeah. Alright, so dual circuit, these ones here, inlet and outlet for the two pistons on either side. Alright, well, I reckon that's all there is to it for now. So we'll go ahead and get inside, order up these correct parts, and hopefully in a few days here we'll be able to put the braking system on the old girl back together. So we'll be right back with more new brake parts. So today's a real good day. Whew, finally got the big old Rock Auto parts box in. Actually, set that on the ground. So let's break into what we've got here. These are, we'll get to those in a second. So what we've got here is two new rear ATE style calipers. We'll take this off because we don't need this. This is for a 240 application, but it should be pretty much identical to the 164. But we're going to do a little comparison here just to see. 240 caliper, this is for a 75 Volvo 244, I believe was the application. This is obviously our 74 164. Now, as you can see, they are just about identical, with the exception of this. This must be something to do with the 244 application. We'll take that off. There's just a I believe, an 8mm bolt. I'm not sure what the hex head size is, 8mm threads. So we'll take that off there and get it out of the way. So, like I said, this one is an existing ATE style caliper. So, as you can see, the bleeders are in the exact same place, right here, right here. 4 bolts exactly the same. Pistons look exactly the same. See from the front side, very slight little differences, but most importantly is the size and the mounting holes will should be in the exact same place. Now, how do you modify this 240 caliper to go on a 164? So this is what the deal is. The 164s use an imperial size bolt, meaning that this is in a standard, like American size, you know, SAE size, whatever you want to call it. And the 240s and so on and so forth used a metric size bolt. So we got to drill out this caliper so we can use our imperial size, standard size, whatever you want to call it, bolts to hold this onto there. Other than that, this should work perfectly. So that being said, now here's where it gets kind of interesting. So the front ATE calipers are rare as hen's teeth. There's a few companies that make some. I mean, if you want to spend like 250 bucks a pop on one, there's a few companies that will rebuild them for you. Frankly, I just ain't got time for that. So what we're going to try to do instead is, again, from a 75 Volvo 244, instead this is a Girling style caliper instead of the ATE caliper like we came with from the factory. Still the same double inlet here for your brake lines. Still the same 2 holes, 4 pistons, 2 on each side. These are specific for vented discs, which is what we have up front. I could not even begin to find ATE calipers for a vented disc. I could find them for a solid disc, but that wouldn't work, obviously. So there are going to be some differences here. Okay, so we're going to have to, you know, this is going to take a little bit of doing. I do believe that the mounting holes seem to be in the same place. Again, just these are drilled for metric sizes, and the 164 is drilled for standard sizes, so we're going to have to drill these out, same as the others. But the brake lines, I can't tell if those are 100% the same or not. We're going to assume they are for now. If we need to get an adapter or something like that, a thread adapter, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But other than that, you know, they're pretty darn similar. They just use a different type of clip to hold one end versus the other. But really, as long as the mounting holes are the same and the size in between is the same, which it looks to be about the same there, as long as those parts are the same, we should be able to adapt these and make these work. So that being said, though, we had to get different brake pads for the front, as the ones that we had ordered already were for an ATE caliper. So we still have rears that are the same ones. We're still going to use the same rear calipers that we had ordered before. That's these here, the ATE style, so those are perfectly fine. But obviously the ATE style front pads that we pulled off aren't going to work, so we had to order Girling style front pads. These are some Wagner thermoquiets, but it is a significantly larger face here for it, as you can see. So we'll see how this affects it. We'll see if this is all going to work, or how much modification this is going to take to make work, I should say. So keep your fingers crossed. We are going to start on this. Keep your fingers crossed. We are going to, these came in late today. We got home late from the old day job today. and it's been raining and everything, nasty weather. So we're going to pick up on this on our next day off. So we'll be right back. We'll start installing this combobulation of brakes here for the old 164. Alright, so as y'all can see, it does not need a whole lot here. We almost need to just ream it rather than try to re-drill anything through there. Alright, one hole down. Alright, clearances look good. There's absolutely nothing rubbing on the caliper itself. Now, let's see if our brake pads drop in like they're supposed to. Oh yeah, this way. I was like, I freaked out for a second there because it looks like it fell all the way through and would be rubbing on the hub, but duh, it's because I don't have the pins in there to hold it still. Just pretend the pins are in there. And that is gonna work like a freaking charm. Let me see if I can get y'all in there any better. Works perfect. And once those calipers pump up, that'll obviously expand, you know, this direction, and from this side, squeeze that brake rotor. And that's gonna work like a freaking charm. Goodness gracious. I'm glad that came together. I was a little worried. The front's gonna be a little bit more troublesome, I think, but we're making good strides here. Check that out. 75 Volvo 244 brake calipers on a 74 Volvo 164E. Right on. Alright, so what we're doing now, before I actually start clearancing the mounting surface on this new Girling caliper here that we're replacing our original ATE caliper with, we're just trying to kind of measure up a little bit, you know, kind of even these out to where we can see what it is, about how much we're going to have to take off this mounting surface here to match the original ATE caliper. Now, let me get y'all in there. As y'all can kind of see, if we run a straight line down, you know, the same machine surface there, y'all can see how much further out those little tips there are. So we're gonna have to clearance those a little bit. This side lines up pretty well. These are pretty well about the same all the way across. But this side over here sticks out by probably, I don't know, 1/4 inch or so there, 3/8, something like that. And then on this side over here, you can see that's what we're dealing with there. That's probably 1/4 inch or so. So what I'm reckoning on here is we should be able to take and remove a little bit from this mounting surface right here, just a little chunk. That'll even it out to about the same thickness here, because the original caliper mounting surface to the end of the bracket is right at about a 1/2 inch thick from here to here. As you can see there, it's right at about a 1/2 inch thick. Over here, I mean, we're more at like 3/4 of an inch. This for sure, I know, is about a 1/4 inch too thick. So we're gonna cut about a 1/4 inch off these castings right here. That should get us back to a nice even surface like is on the 164 caliper. So let's get some safety glasses and get to it. So I think we got that pretty well close, if you guys can see there. Try to get it so y'all can get the real picture of how level it is. Should be pretty darn close. So let's go test fit it on the car and see what we're dealing with. Alright, so we're back here with our caliper. Let's try to get this bolted back on and see what happens. We're going to try to run the bolts down all the way this time so we can actually get stuff, you know, tightened down the way it's supposed to be and make sure everything's going to clearance once it's all 100% mounted. We got no rubbage. Everything looks to be pretty good. No noise or nothing. We managed to get them where they're pretty well evenly tight between both sides here, I do believe. Now that one's going to fight me a little bit because I'm trying to show y'all, of course. There we go. And it still rolls pretty easy, obviously, and we're going to surface some of this so we'll gain a little bit more clearance on that. And it's got rust all over it right now and whatnot, and these will clearance a little bit, but I think that'll be fine for now. It's about as good as she's gonna get. So these are what we're going to be using to adapt the existing lines that are on the car to here. So after doing a little bit of research the other night, we were able to figure out that the 164 here has standard brake lines on it, 3/16 inch brake line with a 3/8 what do you call it, threaded nut. Obviously it's a double inverted or double flare or inverted flare, whatever you want to call it. That's what's on here. It's mostly common on American vehicles, Imperial, whatever you want to call it. The 244 calipers that we're switching to have a metric 10 millimeter thread on them. So what we had to do is go and find these adapters right here. And if you'll see, this is a, if I can get it to read right here, 3/8 by 24 inverted female by metric 10 male bubble flare. So the 244 calipers are a bubble flare instead of a inverted flare, and they're also metric 10 millimeter instead of standard 3/8 drive or 3/8 thread. So we had to go and hunt down these little adapters here. We needed 6 of them because, you know, 4 brake lines wasn't enough for Volvo in 1974, I guess. So, you know, they had to put 6 lines, dual circuit on the front, and the single brake lines on the back, obviously. So we had to go and hunt down 6 of these things. Now this is part number, just in case you're ever using it for anything, this is part number BLF31C from American Grease Stick. All right, so this is what we're going to be using to adapt our 244 calipers to the current brake lines. But goodness, you would not believe the trouble we had trying to find 6 of them things. We had to go to 2 different parts stores. We were able to get 3 from one and 3 from another. The other parts stores in town either didn't have them, didn't know what they were, or, you know, something along those lines. But after like a 60-mile trip, round trip or whatever, you know, we were able to finally get what we need. So what we're going to be doing here, this is our brake line original fitting, 3/8. We have a female 3/8 inverted flare or double flare, whatever you want to call it. So that's going to screw onto there. And actually first we're going to screw it into the caliper on here. That's what our setup's going to look like on all of our calipers, just like this. We have our bright yellow brass adapter screwed in there first with a bubble fitting on the front of it, and the back side of it is a double flare fitting, which will fit into the brake lines that are existing on this 164, therefore sealing it off 100%. 244 calipers on a 164. Alright, so it's been a couple days. We're back at it again, but had to take a couple days off because unfortunately suffered a little minor eye injury. Was wearing knee safety glasses, and those things suck, so don't buy the cheap. I think these are Harbor Freight, or not Harbor Freight, but a Hart or Hyper Tough brand something. They're junk. So we were grinding on the brake caliper here and ended up getting a spark up under my eye, and didn't think nothing of it at the time, but apparently it was a piece of metal that wedged itself right in the iris of my left eye. So had to take a couple days off after a optometrist like scraped for about 10 minutes to get a piece of chunk, or piece of metal out of the center of my eye there. So that really sucked. We've got a temporary basically just a non-magnified contact lens over it now to try to protect it, but yeah, got to move forward. The old projects wait for no one. So we're gonna bust out. This is actually a shield that I had I used a mesh over it whenever we were up north, whenever we were felling a lot of trees and everything, clearing out land, and so I put the clear face shield part of it on there, and we're going to use that for the time being. I got another face shield in the mail on the way, but this will protect any sparks or anything from getting anywhere near my eyes, thankfully. So make sure y'all always wear your safety equipment. I know a lot of us get busy and we just want to use the old safety squints, and it's a gamble every time. So make sure y'all are wearing your safety equipment anytime you're working on stuff like this. So all right, but let's get back to it. We got the other driver's side one here to modify and get fitted up, and then we can we're gonna have to put a coat of paint on these real quick. So we'll see what random color we got laying around the house, and that'll be the color of the brake calipers on the old Volvo here. Oh, and we gotta clean off the discs. We gotta clear off the discs on because they are pretty rusty, and eventually we're gonna upgrade everything, but for right now we just need to get these cleaned off so that we can putter around the yard with the old girl. Okay, you can hear it there tapping a little bit. That's where we were talking about I'm going to have to clearance out. Hey. Ow. Goodness gracious. Be right back. Nice. All right, now take one of our brake pads, slides right in on the back side. That's right in on the front side. Friggin' perfect body. That one worked out perfectly. The other one will clearance after a while. Be alright. What we're gonna do now is go ahead and get these cleaned up. We'll spray them off with brake parts cleaner real good. We're gonna put a quick coat of primer, and I think I found, where is it here? So we found some Rust-Oleum blue in the house. We're just gonna spray paint the calipers blue, just for the heck of it. It'll look good on there with the blue car, so, And we had it laying around, so that's the biggest thing, So let's get these cleaned up real good, get all these metal shavings off, and we'll mask off the dust seal a little bit there to keep them from getting sprayed with paint and whatnot. All right, so we've got our super, redneck set up here to paint our brake calipers. Yeah, so just hanging from the rafters, yeah, that'll work. Listen, we're just doing it the way y'all would if you was in your garage, didn't have a big old shop too. So what we're going to be using here, just going to be just from your automotive section at your local store. Rust-Oleum sandable automotive primer. I don't care that it's sandable. It's just something I had on hand. So, doing this real low buck, so to speak. So then I'm going to knock stuff over and have to pick it up again. So, yeah. Try to paint it away from the old Volvo here. We're gonna let those finish tacking up. I'm gonna get a little fresh air. There's not a lot of wind tonight here in the Panhandle, and it's a little toxic in here. So we're gonna let this tack up, and then we'll hit it with some color. Is all ready to go for the brand new caliper. First, gotta take a break real quick. Go put the chickens up for the night. I do believe these went on the bottom. Pretty sure. If not, we can always switch it later. Okay, now we can go ahead and mount this back on there again. Alright, tighten these back up again now. There's that one done. Alright, now we can bolt this back on there. Because now this piece is longer than it used to be. So we're going to have to tweak this brake line a little. And hope that we can do so without breaking anything. There we go. Just had to bend it down this way and bend this tip up a little. Okay, now got our brand new brake pads we're going to drop down in there. Perfect. Oh goodness, excuse me. Perfect, still there. We've got our little hardware pack. We've got our 2 pins here. And then our 2 little locking pins to keep those from sliding out. Okay, the way these are going to work, got here little or whatever you want to call these, retaining clips, whatever. Those go in there like that. Then we're going to take our caliper pins here, and they're going to slide in here like this, and you're going to want to kind of dip that little clip like that. You're going to want to dip that little clip in there to where it goes under the caliper pin. It goes through the other one in the exact same way. And push it all the way through the other side of the caliper. And then the little retainer holes here. Okay, so what we were fighting with was getting our little cotter pin here lined up in the hole it is supposed to. I was thinking it would have went on this side of the brake pad. I don't know why I was thinking that, because it would impact the pad material there and that wouldn't work. So it goes right in here and behind the brake pad. Just like that. Looks good. Those look like they're going to work perfect. As long as our brake lines hold, I think that's going to work very well. Alright, good deal. Alright, so now that that one's done, we're going to go on ahead and we'll just leave this wheel off for right now, since we're going to be bleeding these anyways. We'll go on ahead and move on to the driver's side rear here, get that caliper put on real quick. Door key face mask engaged. So it's a new day. Let's go ahead and try to get this finished up today. Just got to mount 2 more brake calipers on the passenger side here. Put our line adapters on, and then we can bleed these brakes out. Hopefully that won't take too awful long. It's a little brisk out here this morning in the Florida Panhandle. It's like 49 degrees out here or something, so a little chilly, and the wind getting you too. But it's a nice change of pace from all the heat. So let's go on ahead and get these brake calipers mounted up. Hopefully drive the old girls today. All of our brake calipers together, so we can finally move forward with trying to bleed these. We're going to start at the passenger side rear because that's the furthest one away, and then we'll probably move to driver's side rear, passenger side front, driver's side front, start bleeding these, and try to get the old girl moving around. All right, so we've got that in there as good as we can. We'll see if that works or not. If it doesn't, we'll figure something else out. But we're going to open up this bleeder. Alright, we're going to leave this set up like this. See if it works for us. We'll run inside, pump the brakes a couple times, see what we get. Are we getting anything there? Nothing yet, it don't look like. Alright, so it's a couple days later. We're out here with the old 164 again. We got all kind of new brake parts, or brake hoses I should say. New rear lines. What is it here? Oh, I already put them over there. New front lines. But unfortunately, the rear lines that they sent us are not the right ones. These are for 164s manufactured from August of 1974. Ours is manufactured in May, so those actually aren't going to work. So we're going to leave the old rear lines on there until I can find others. So we may only have front brakes here, but that's all right. You know, it's better than nothing, right? So we got our new front lower lines here. There's going to be part number right there, 350-27001. We have our new upper lines here. These were actually a complete shot in the dark. They're part number 073-1203. These actually show up for a what was it, a 244 I think it was, but it happens to be the exact ones that we need, so we're gonna roll with those. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and bust out these brake hose changes here real quick, so we can try to start getting some fluid to these calipers, see if we can drive her around here. Stick that through there. Alright, so we got that one, that lower hose there, all buttoned up where it's supposed to be. Those are a little tight, we'll have to keep an eye on that. This is going to go in there with a washer and a lock nut to hold it in place. 5 there, 14 millimeter there. Alright, so we've got that all tightened up in there, all the lock nuts, all the fittings for the brake lines and whatnot, those should be good to go. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and jump over to the driver's side front and get that one all buttoned up. Alright, so we're on the driver's side over here. There ain't a whole lot of work that we got to do on this one. Just mostly replace these lines real quick, so we'll bust these out. Hit them with a little PB blaster on all the fittings first. They're already loose from that side because we've done the caliper. So we're just gonna use the old croissant wrench on it. Okay, so it's actually a couple days later. We were attaching those brake hoses on the driver's side front there, and we actually broke one of the old brake lines. Finally, you know, we tried to avoid it on all of them, but we ended up twisting the end off of one of them. Just couldn't help it. So we ended up running to the local parts store in Harbor Freight. Had to grab a brake flaring tool, so where we could do our double inverted flares on the end, whatever you want to call them there. Whipped up a quick little brake line. You're just using like a 18-inch random piece of brake line that the local parts store had, so this should work for what we need there. But yeah, so now we go ahead and try to put this one back in place and go ahead and finish up these front brakes. Unfortunately, it's a pretty difficult little spot to get into. There's a little proportion of valve or whatever you want to call it down there, and this has got to go right inside there like that. So we're gonna go ahead and just try to bust that in there real quick. There ain't a real good way to get a camera shot on it, so we'll screw this in there real quick and be right back. Okay, so we got those new brake lines in place. This one we weren't able to put up through the little bracket here, so we're gonna have to remake that hard line. We made it just a little bit too short, but that's gonna work for now. Got it back in our little bracket there. Everything's tightened down. So I think we're finally ready to go ahead and start trying to bleed the brakes. We're just gonna bleed the front brakes first, because pretty sure those old rubber lines are on the rear are clogged up. So we're working on some adapters. We got some adapters coming in the mail to adapt the new brake lines that we got. They're metric to the original standard threaded hard lines on the back of the vehicle. But for now, we can go ahead and get the front brakes bled and probably putter it around as long as the front brakes hold. Alright, so we got to fill up our master cylinder here again because we lost all the brake fluid out of it during this whole operation. So, of course, you want to find like the oldest brake fluid that you can in the garage. Check. Fill that up. Alright, so we got our master cylinder all filled back up with brake fluid, so we're going to bust over here to the passenger side and try to bleed this one first, see what we get. Okay, so I don't know if y'all can see that 100% there, but the bubbles, you can see they're slowly working up there where they're supposed to be. Alright, we'll keep pumping a little bit. Still getting some air bubbles coming up through there. We definitely want to make sure you keep an eye on your master cylinder during this too, and don't run it dry. Otherwise you have to repeat this whole process. Alright, so we're seeing less bubbles now in the line there. So we're going to keep doing this, and we'll skip ahead. We're going to keep doing this until we run out of bubbles and the pedal starts to feel better. Okay, so we've got the front brakes bled, and we got some pedal. The front brakes are working somewhat, but unfortunately the pedal's real soft. We do have some brakes, but I think we're gonna have to wait for those adapters coming to mail so we can get our new lines on the rear. So as soon as those come in, we'll finish bleeding this up and get her up and going. All right, so it's a few days later. We're back up underneath the old Volvo here. As you can see, we're back here with the rear lines. We've got to work some magic out with them here, seeing as how we couldn't get no fluid out. I'm assuming they're completely stuck. So, I'll show you what we got. Got our new rear lines here with some homemade adapters. If y'all want to see how we made them, check out our short on the Harbor Freight flaring tool. That's what this is. It goes from our metric end on our new line here into a union that changes it to 3/8 by 24 standard thread. We have a male end going into that, short tiny little piece of new brake line there, and another male end coming out to be able to screw into our existing hard line on the vehicle here. So we'll get the camera set up, we'll attach these real quick, see if we can finally get some brake fluid coming out of these rear calipers here. I know we had these loose before. Oh, come on, dadgummit. Alright, little PB blaster on there, and we got them busted loose. Should be. Yeah. Alright, now what we're going to do, though, is we're going to take them loose from down here also before we completely take them out of there, so we can try to avoid as much brake fluid leaking out as possible. Alright, so we finally got them busted loose from the axle side there. They fought us a little bit, but we managed to get them. We're going to go ahead and unhook them from our little proportion valves up here. And that's what we like to see, some fluid coming out of there. So that should mean, in theory, that our proportion valves at least aren't clogged up. We got fluid leaking out of both of them. That should be good. Alright, got our new hard lines, or new brake hoses here rather. We're going to hook these up just so we can get this brake fluid to stop leaking here, hopefully. Oh, that's the wrong way. Dummy. Okay, so we're just reattaching our hard lines down here with new bubble fitting adapters. Trying to make sure everything spins like it should. This hard line definitely is a little tough going here. Oh, I'm gonna have to change my angle here to try to figure this out, huh? Okay, those are pretty darn tight. So we'll see, I guess. We're gonna have to get some low profile nut retaining nuts, hold them on there better, but for now, that's gonna work just fine. Whew. Tight quarters under here. All right, so that's good to go. So let's go ahead and move back to the top side, and we will, oh my goodness, that light is bright. All right, so we got that handled. Those are all tightened down top to bottom. So now we'll go ahead and move forward with trying to bleed the right rear, the passenger side rear tire, or rear brake rather, to see if we can get fluid all the way, to the rear brakes on the old girl here. So we'll see y'all topside. All right, so it's actually a couple days later. We ended up fighting this thing pretty bad, trying to get the brake split on it. Never could get all the air out, it seemed like. Weren't getting real good fluid movement out of it. So we actually ended up noticing that it's obviously, if you know anything about braking systems, that's your master cylinder. It's not pushing fluid efficiently because inside it's all jacked up. So ordered up another master cylinder from Rock Auto. That got delayed by a few days thanks to, the winter storm. This is just the remnants of it here, but Florida getting hit by a winter storm. We got like 6 inches here in just north of Panama City. It's friggin' wild. But anyway, so we're back out here. We got our master cylinder. We're gonna go ahead and bust off the old one. As you can see, we've got our lines busted off loose already. We just got some plugs in there to keep all the fluid from dripping all over everything. We're gonna go ahead and bust it loose off the brake booster and get the new one bench bled. So hopefully, they seem to be moving pretty good. So should be in the clear. We'll skip ahead, speed this up, get this busted out real quick. We'll be over there on the bench with the new one. All right, so we got our old rusty crusty master cylinder out. She has seen some stuff. So we got our new master cylinder here. Swapped our reservoir over to the new one, obviously. Got our bleeder lines going here so that we could bench bleed this reservoir. If y'all want to see how to bench bleed one of these brake master cylinders here, rather, head on over to the channel. We just posted up a short about it, I think yesterday, so it's going to be one of our newer shorts when this video comes out. But a little instructional video, 60 seconds long, on how to bench bleed a master cylinder. So let's go ahead and get this one popped in there, and then we can finally be ready to bleed brakes and hopefully, get all the air out of the lines. All right. Now there is an O-ring at the back of this master cylinder here to seal up, keep weather and dirt and debris and stuff out from between it and the brake booster. So we just cleaned up that mating surface a little bit there so that it gets a nice good seal on it. So something y'all might want to address while you're in there. We'll get our washers and bolts on there real quick and be good to go. Now whenever you take your little bleeder lines off this master cylinder, you want to try to plug these the lines for your vehicle in there as quick as humanly possible. Don't unhook the bleeder lines and then go make you a sandwich and sit down and watch half a hockey game and then come out here and reconnect them. You want to connect them up as quick as possible so we can not lose very much fluid and keep from getting any as much air in the lines as possible. So just a quick little tip. Alright, so we got the new master cylinder all installed, topped off with brake fluid and whatnot, and didn't really lose a whole lot. Hopefully we didn't get a whole lot of air in the system from the exchange. And so now we can finally go ahead and start bleeding brakes where we're supposed to. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do an oil change on the old girl. It's going to be a big old like 15/16 or something drain plug there. So we'll get y'all under there, show you what we're talking about. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Undo the drain plug, let the oil drain off, swap out an oil filter. Super easy job. So we'll get you under there, show you that drain plug, how we're going to do this real quick. Alright, so as y'all can see, that's your big old drain plug there. Pretty hefty. Couldn't find a wrench to fit it, so we'll just use a crescent wrench real quick. Yep, and it's kind of rounded off anyway, so probably somebody was using the wrong size. What if I get this sucker? It's got some rounded edges on it, man. Somebody did a number on this thing. Goodness gracious. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, somebody did a number on it. Maybe I should have hit this with a little bit of the old PB blaster first, Nope. Well, at least we didn't round it off anymore. Yeah, she has definitely seen better days. Let me get the old hammer going here and have to do a little beating and banging. Let's see what we're dealing with here. I bet this stuff is going to be quite nasty. Quite nasty. Something tells me that it's not going to be pleasant. Alright, let's see what we got here. Not too awful bad. Yeah. Pretty thin. Oh, I hope that's not too full. Alright, so there's our drain plug with the old school copper flat washer for sealing. Looks like she's all done draining. So we're gonna go on ahead and seal her back up, I reckon, now. Alright. Wipe that off. Put her back on in there. Oh, where's my 1-inch wrench now? Big old giant freaking 1-inch wrench for an oil drain plug. Alright, now we're not gonna give her 47 ugga-duggas like the last guy though. Snug has a bug. That's all you need right there. Right there. Alright, let's go back topside. Alright, so we're back up top here doing the oil filter. I want to show y'all where it's at. So that's it way down there. You're looking at the top of the engine. That's it way down there in the corner. So not going to be able to give you a very good view of it, but we'll just set you up here. Y'all can watch me work. If it's not like tight as all get out. Oh, come on. I figured it's loose as all get out is what I'm getting at here, okay? I figured, judging by the drain plug, being tightened down with 137 ugga-duggas, that the oil filter was going to be the same way, and I was happily, goodness gracious, some long threads on there. Okay, I finally got it. Thought I was bringing it all the way from Chipley over here to me. Yeah, it's a little gross, but to be expected. Oh my goodness, I just seen, look at this Havoline oil filter. T35. That is like some straight up, I don't even know, it had to be 1990s or something. I might have to clean this sucker up, put it up on the shelf. So we're going to be going with a MAN filter from Germany, of course, W917. It's going to be these canister style like this. Hopefully this is the right one. It's what it called for online, so I guess we'll see. All right. Oh, almost forgot. Need some old oil. Hold on. Trying to get a better light in there. Yeah. All right, so we got some old oil rubbed on there for all the haters. All right. So we got some highfalutin stuff we're going to be going with here. This stuff here, this old school engines, you really want to go with something that's got a higher zinc content and whatnot. And she's old, it's 50 years old. It's like 130,000 miles on it. She's probably a little on the tired side because she hasn't been driven in 02, but we're going to bring her around. So you want something a little bit thicker, especially down here in Florida in the summertime. We're not going to drive her that much here in the wintertime, but we may in the summertime to car shows and stuff. So we're going to go with a 20W50, and this is the Valvoline VR1 Racing and Classic Car Oil, okay? What this stuff has is a higher zinc content, higher minerals and stuff like that in it, or what these old engines like to run on, okay? Last thing you want to be doing is putting some, 5W20 in a 50-year-old Volvo over here, okay? It's not gonna end well. So, all right. Where did I do? So we're gonna be doing, because we did do a filter change. I know when we put it in dry too, it just drives y'all crazy. So we did do a filter change. So we're gonna use 6.3 quarts in this, all right? So we're gonna get our first 5 out of the big jug here, and we'll go from there. All right, so it's actually the following day. We worked on into the night after dark to finish bleeding the brakes on the old girl. Finally got everything bled, and wouldn't you know it, we got brakes. So today we're gonna go on ahead, and we've had the battery simmering over here since last night. So we're gonna get that put back in and get her down off the jack stands and everything, try to fire this girl up. It's been setting for about a month or so, you know, through this Florida snowmageddon and everything. So we're gonna get her fired up, try to take her around the block real quick. Got the battery reinstalled, breather, air filter, all that good stuff back on there. And got the fuel pump primed a few times. We don't see any leaks, no engine fires, nothing like that. So we're gonna go on ahead, hop inside, try to start her up real quick. Cold-natured. Alright, so as you can see, she's a little cold-natured, you know, but she's up and going, and we're going to let it sit there and idle for a few minutes, try to bring that idle down, the warmer it gets, and then we'll try to spin it around the block here, see what happens. Alright, so as y'all can see, she's idled down a little bit, getting a little heat in the engine. Unfortunately, the battery that we have, I think, is a little bit too big, so I'm not going to latch the hood all the way. We'll leave it like that. Should be fine. Alright, let's see if she'll idle up out of the garage. Brakes still need a little bit of work, a little spongy still. We probably still got a little bit of air in the lines, but it's a heck of a lot better than it was, though, that's for sure. Let's see if I can back her up here. Make sure reverse works. I feel like she's got like maybe a vacuum leak or something like that. Second gear. We got second gear. She's freaking cruising now, bud. I mean, I wouldn't call it fast or nothing, you know, but oh, you know, we're going. I mean, buddy, she... I cannot express to y'all how excited I am over this. We have been working on this old girl for like 3 months now. We've been slacking on content on YouTube. Finally got it up and going. Got the neighbors here. You're probably thinking, look at this old rust bucket he hauled into here now. But she's up and going. I cannot explain how excited I am for this one. This has been like 3 months in the making here. because she is running. I mean, it's not spectacular, okay, but she's getting there. I think I'm gonna go get the family and we'll take a little spin around the up and down the road here. We'll be right back. What do y'all think? Hop in, bud. All right, what do y'all think about the old girl?
She's getting there.
Yeah, I like it.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
We'll get her done.
Olivia? Ella? All right, super dry rotted, about to blow tires, check. Cobbled together brake system, check. All kinds of old school Swedish gentleman vibes, check. So we got the old girl, old boy here, up and running, got her driving up and down the road. It still needs a little work. We got some belts to replace on it, maybe even some pulleys, something like that. I think we got a vacuum leak somewhere in the engine. It's idle, it's running a little rough, you know, right off the jump there. But she's up and going. We successfully rescued this one from going to the scrap yard after what I believe is 22 years this thing's been off the road. The last time it was stickered was July of '02 in Pennsylvania, so almost 23 years now. So we successfully saved another piece of European steel from the scrap yard. And if y'all enjoy seeing us do stuff like this, don't forget to go on our channel, like and subscribe so you can see all the future projects we're going to do here at Southern Motor Works. There's plenty more to come. And like I said, I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. All right, y'all have a good one out there.